To stop the villainous Minister Tanyu from committing suicide, I spent all my points to exchange for the one spring night for babies at once prop. As he was about to slit his wrist, I touched my belly and said, "My lord, if you wish to die, then die. Don't worry about us, the orphan and the widow. After all, when I give birth, the boys will go to the Xianjiku to be slaves, and the girls to the Jiaofan Sea to be prostitutes." The system excitedly beeped. "It's working. It's working. The will to die has decreased by 10%. Next, Tanyu only needed to stand by the river. Me, husband, I'm so hungry. I want to eat the braised pork knuckle from Tianha restaurant. It's not that I want to eat it. It's the children who want to." Tanyu just picked up the paper cutter. "Me, husband, my foot is cramping. Rub it for me. And there are 4 kids." There was a strip of cloth that appeared to be white next to Tanyu's hand. "Me, husband, it's been 3 months. I feel so empty, so uncomfortable. I really miss your company." Tanyu, he silently washed up, took off his clothes, and lay on the bed waiting for me. "Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. My name is Wu Yi, a useless strategist. According to the original plan, as long as I could prevent the powerful Minister Tanyu from committing suicide, I would gain the opportunity to be reborn in a new world and a large fortune. But I've tried to win him over dozens of times, and not once have I succeeded. I analyzed the reasons for my failures, and it's mostly not my fault. It's because Tanyu is just too damn tragic. So tragic that no matter how I behave, I can't shake the pitch-black tone of his life. Tanyu, the current Prime Minister, is ostensibly a gentleman of the 6 arts. In reality, he endured humiliation and shouldered heavy burdens for over 20 years, all for the sake of avenging a deep-seated blood feud. Tanyu's father, Tan Qing, was originally a highly accomplished and fiercely loyal general, but his achievements overshadowed the emperor, arousing the latter's suspicion. To eliminate him, the emperor fabricated a pretext to lure him back to the capital, falsely accused him of crimes, and had him executed by slow slicing. Tanyu's 5 elder brothers were all cut in half at the waist, and his 2 sisters were also violated and killed. Only his mother, Ren Xiao, managed to survive with him, living a precarious existence. Under such deep-seated hatred, Tanyu grew up in extreme hardship, developing a gloomy and scheming personality. But when he finally climbed to a high position and found the opportunity to kill the old emperor, his mother Ren Xiao cruelly revealed the truth. In truth, you are not the child of me and Tan Qing. You are the illegitimate offspring of me and the emperor. Back then, it was this vile scoundrel who abducted and violated me, which is why I gave birth to you. Ha 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 ha. After enduring humiliation all these years, I can finally witness you father and son tearing each other apart. This is your greatest retribution. Under this immense shock, the already half-dead old emperor breathed his last, and Tanyu was also on the verge of collapse. He never imagined that he himself was the crucial piece in this act of revenge. So, every time the grand finale arrived, Tanyu would resolutely march to his death without a second thought. No matter how eloquently I might speak of love and peace, Aristotle, or being destined to fall in love with you, none of it would be of any use. Hanging, slitting his throat, poisoning, drowning in the lake. Every time he dies, I experience it with him. After dying dozens of times, I was left in despair and completely broken. I want to exchange all my points for the spring breeze once. For babies at once item. I'm going all out against him. The system saw my determination and quietly helped me change it. Are you sure this move will work? Who can be sure? But I have no other choice. Do I? This time, I return to 2 months before the story's end, with the identity of the wife bestowed upon him by the old emperor. At this stage, Tanyu's plan was about to reach its climax, so he only accepted me perfunctorily. He treated me well on the surface but refused to share a bed with me. I looked up at those strikingly handsome features, his tall and upright figure, and that melancholic, composed demeanor. Talking to him is a waste of breath. I didn't hesitate to use the prop. Tanyugong was about to step out of the room when he was instantly enveloped in pink bubbles, a hint of confusion flashing in his eyes. I walked over gently and pulled him back. Husband, weren't you going to rest? Come here. Right now. I feel like a demon in the cave of silken web. Tanyu lost the ability to think and resist as I pulled him step by step onto the bed, thinking about how miserably I died before. I can't let him off today. Take off your clothes. He stood there dumbly, letting me strip him naked. Kiss me. His whole body was burning hot as he pressed against me, even willingly parting his lips. Oh my. Look who's getting his comeuppance today. Untie my clothes. Yes. Slowly. Gently. Remember to trim your nails later. Under the influence of the props, Tanyu was no longer the brooding, vengeful power minister. Instead, he became like an innocent and curious youth, exploring my body with wonder. The temperature in the room gradually rose, until late at night, our large Wangwali bed continued to shake incessantly. The next day, we woke up together. Tanyu was slightly flustered, and his face instantly darkened. Why am I sleeping here? I put on an innocent expression. Husband, you suddenly felt dizzy yesterday, as if you had completely changed, like you were poisoned, and insisted on pulling me. My hands kept fidgeting. You did this, and that, and even this to me. When it comes to intimate matters, it couldn't possibly be me forcing him. Tanyu closed his eyes and took a deep breath. If I say this, he'll think he's fallen into the old emperor's scheme. Even if he suspects me, there's nothing he can do to me now. Sure enough, after a few moments of silence, he said, It's nothing. You rest first. I'll go to court now. After that, I ignored him completely, spending my days idly indulging in food, drink, and entertainment. It's no use saying anything anyway. Until 2 months later, when the old emperor was killed and the truth came to light, Tanyu returned home in despair. Just as he placed the knife against his wrist, I pushed the door open. Husband, what are you trying to do? Tanyu opened his eyes and gave me a cold glance, his gaze devoid of any warmth. Get lost. Seeing him raise the knife again, I quickly dropped the bombshell. I'm pregnant. Tanyu finally moved, turning his head to look at me, and said ominously, Are you looking for death? His expression was terrifying, as if he wasn't joking at all. But I've done things like plucking the tiger's whiskers many times before. What's the worst that could happen? Death. If I don't die, it'll be a fortune beyond measure. Covering my face, I sobbed. That night 2 months ago, it was you who insisted on sharing the bed with me, climbing the heights of passion now that I'm with child. You refused to take responsibility. You scoundrel. Fine. Since my husband insists on this, I cannot stop you. Go then. Don't worry about us, the orphan and the widow. After all, when the child is born, if it's a boy, he'll serve as a slave in the Zinseku, and if it's a girl, she'll become a prostitute in the Jiafangxi. Tanyu stood motionless for a long while, his eyes red-rimmed, staring fixedly at my belly. I only felt that even a single breath seemed endlessly long. I don't know how much time had passed when the system excitedly sounded a prompt in my heart. It moved. It moved. It moved. The will to die has decreased by 10%. Woo-ee. Well done. You finally bet right this time. I heaved a sigh of relief, my whole body nearly collapsing. So he actually fell for this trick. Tanyu's eyes flickered as he slowly sheathed the sharp dagger. Taking several deep breaths, he shouted, "Someone! Summon the imperial physician for the madam." He brushed past me and whispered in my ear, "If you dare lie to me, I'll kill you first." I quickly puffed out my belly. "Go ahead. Kill us. If you have the guts. Kill all 5 of us. Mother and children." Tanyu gasped. 5. I said triumphantly. Last month I had a pregnancy dream. A celestial being placed 4 peaches in my belly. Doesn't that mean 4 children? And 2 boys and 2 girls at that. Tanyu gave me a speechless glance, exuding a sense of helplessness he had never shown before. He didn't argue, just sat aside waiting for the imperial physician. Before long, the imperial physician arrived. "Prime Minister, the palace is in chaos. His Majesty has passed away. Aren't you going to the palace?" A royal physician, meddling in affairs beyond his purview. Tan Yugong sneaked out of the palace. Did he really think no one would notice? Without showing any emotion, he merely said calmly, "My wife is unwell, and I can't rest easy. I'll be returning to the palace shortly." When the physician confirmed that I was indeed pregnant, Tan Yu's expression grew increasingly inscrutable. After a long pause, he struggled to speak word by word. "Please trouble yourself to prescribe some miscarriage-preventing medicine for my wife. A large quantity. Enough to protect 4 children. Imperial physician. 4. And so, I finally made it through this ordeal. After the imperial physician prescribed the medicine for me, Tan Yu went into the palace. For him, death would be a clean break. But if he didn't die, he'd still have to deal with other matters. After he left, I suddenly felt at a loss. It was like playing a game and reaching a level I'd never played before. There were no walkthroughs or hints. Completely in the dark. I called out to the system. "What should we do next?" The system replied, "Play it by ear. It seems this move is working." I never expected someone like Tanyu to be moved by this sudden appearance of his own flesh and blood. Maybe he's just too starved for love. Or is it too much sense of responsibility? Never mind. Anyway, I'm going to use the baby in my belly to control him until he completely loses the will to die and lives properly. At night, Tanyu returned. He was exhausted, and though surrounded by an air of despondency, there was no lifelessness about him. His Majesty has passed away, and the Prince of Linzi will soon ascend the throne. He said to me calmly, "The Prince of Linzi, Zhao Duo, is the male lead of this world. The old emperor might have been too wicked, leaving no son to inherit the throne. His only son was the mastermind behind the assassination attempt. In the past, under pressure from many court officials, the old emperor had been considering making a certain relative the crown prince. Prince Zhao Duo of Linzi was one of the candidates. However, the old emperor treated Zhao Duo poorly as well. When he was summoned to the palace as a child, he was not only neglected but also indirectly caused the death of his elder brother. Thus, the previous assassination attempt was orchestrated jointly by Zhao Duo and Tanyu. With the old emperor's death, Zhao Duo became the rightful heir. I don't want to bother with all that. Covering my chest and saying, "What's that smell on you? Is it the scent of blood? Ugh, I feel so nauseous." Tanyu's expression changed as he said, Then I'll go bathe." I nodded. "Hurry back. Husband used the osmanthus fragrance I like. I love the scent of osmanthus." Tanyu. Next. Tanyu just needs to stand by the river. Me. Husband. I'm so hungry. I want to eat the braised pork knuckle from Tinha Tower. It's really not that I want to eat it. It's the children who want to. Tanyu picks up the paper knife. Me. Husband. My foot is cramping. Rub it for me. The 4 kids are bullying me. Tanyu had what appeared to be a white cloth strip by his hand. Me. Husband. It's been 3 months. I feel so empty. So uncomfortable. I really miss having you with me. Tanyu. Quietly. I went to wash up, took off my clothes, and lay on the bed waiting for me. Although I was pregnant, the 3-month danger period had already passed. Under the influence of hormones, the more I looked at Tanyu, the more pleasing he became to my eyes. He truly lived up to being the beautiful, strong, and tragic second male lead antagonist. His looks and demeanor were beyond reproach, especially that unapproachable aura of his. It looks particularly ascetic yet alluring. And then there's his tall, manga-like physique. Just my favorite type with lean muscles. Thinking back to that passionate night 2 months ago, I can't help but feel a bit restless. Tanyu owes me so much. It's only right he compensates me. In the dim and flickering candlelight, Tanyu, half-dressed, looked at me with a hint of nervousness. I could even see his Adam's apple bobbing slightly. Truth be told, tonight was the first time we were both truly sober. I slowly moved closer to him, leaning into his embrace. Husband, my heart aches. Won't you rub it for me? Tanyu's gaze was profound, hesitating for a moment before gently placing his hand over mine. I licked around his ear. You can be a little rougher. Tanyu could no longer hold back, panting as he pounced forward. Throughout the entire process, he was restrained and gentle. The night exudes allure, which can refer not only to women but also to men. Seeing him drenched in sweat, I considerately wiped it all away for him. After the clouds dispersed and the rain ceased, Tanyu gently caressed my belly. Are you okay? How do you feel? I knew he was referring to the child, but I deliberately misinterpreted his words. Husband, how could you ask me such a thing? You're so naughty, how awful. Tanyu, seeing him speechless, I pouted and said, Husband, you've kept yourself pure and virtuous. It's quite commendable that you've managed to do so. From childhood to adulthood, he had made revenge his life's mission, never allowing himself a moment of relaxation, let alone getting close to women. Tanyu's face turned pale. What do you mean by this? It means there's still room for improvement. I smiled and said, Husband, when I'm in a good mood, the children will grow up well. Making me happy will make the children happy too. Happy wife. Happy life. Tanyu was somewhat at a loss. I pulled a book from under the pillow and handed it to him. Tanyu took it and saw the title written in an extremely elegant plum blossom seal script. 18 Styles of Romance and Passion. What is this? His face turned so red it seemed about to drip blood. I pretended to be shy and said, This is my dowry. Don't underestimate this book. It's a rare edition, exquisitely crafted, filled with both illustrations and text. And most importantly, the details are depicted with exceptional clarity. To be honest, when I accidentally flipped through this book, I almost got a nosebleed. Things like boudoir delights, swinging in the courtyard, frolicking in the hot springs, and amidst moonlit flowers. If this were modern times, it would be considered high definition and uncensored. Tanyu gritted his teeth and said, You're pregnant. I coquettishly retorted, I didn't say you have to learn everything now. We can take it slow. One is never too old to learn. Once you've mastered it all, You won't want to die anymore. If you really must die, it'd be a little death of ecstasy. Under my various interventions, Tanyu's will to die grew weaker and weaker. The system kept cheering all day. It dropped another 5%. Today it dropped 10%. It dropped in the morning, and dropped again in the afternoon. Woo-ee. You're amazing. 18 techniques of romance had only been tried up to the 5th move when Tanyu's will to die decreased by 20%. At this rate, once all are tried, the revolution will be completely victorious. But lately, I've started experiencing morning sickness, vomiting whatever I eat. Tanyu was so heartbroken that he hardly dared to touch me, and even the look in his eyes seemed to say, I wish I could bear the pain for you. I think if there were such a thing as childbirth pain simulation in this world, he might even try it. Truth be told, he's really a good and considerate person. If not for fate's cruelty, he would have been a good man. Thus, a month later, Prince Linzi Zhao Duo officially ascended the throne. Meanwhile, Tan Yu's mother, Ren Xiao, came knocking at his door. Your enemy is dead. I am your mother, and it's time for you to support and honor me. Also, your current wife was given to you by that despicable traitor. You should divorce her first. To be honest, in the entire story, the person I despise the most is the old emperor, followed by Ren Xiao. Of course, she is also pitiful. Over 20 years ago, the entire Tan family was unjustly slaughtered, with only Ren Xiao surviving, solely because the old emperor had long coveted her beauty. He had her secretly swapped out from the death row prison and confined in a secluded imperial villa, where he forcibly took possession of her. Ren Xiao attempted suicide several times but never succeeded. Fortunately, the emperor was fickle and quickly grew tired of her after just a few visits, so he stopped paying attention to her. With the help of some of General Tan's former subordinates, Ren Xiao managed to escape in secret. Later, she had the opportunity to seek refuge with her cousin, who was then the Princess of Linzi. After arriving in Linzi, Ren Xiao discovered she was pregnant and knew it was the old emperor's child. At first, she couldn't accept it and wanted to abort the child. But before long, Ren Xiao conceived a better plan for revenge. She raised Tanyu, placing all her hopes for vengeance on her son. In truth, on the day the old emperor died, she had already achieved her revenge. There was no need to drag Tanyu into it as well. Yet she insisted on revealing Tanyu's identity, causing him immense pain, so much so that each time he was reborn, he chose to end his own life without hesitation. If I hadn't been quick-witted this time, all she would have faced was Tanyu's corpse. It's said that after the emperor's death, she let go of her convictions and fell seriously ill as well. I thought she would quiet down after that, but who knew she'd dare to come making demands. Tanyu's feelings towards Ren Xiao were complex, and for a moment, he didn't know what to say, only managing to utter, "Ai is pregnant." Ren Xiao froze, staring at my slightly protruding belly, then gritted his teeth and said, "You're the dog emperor's spawn. Your child is also his descendant. Why should Tanqing die so miserably without leaving even a trace of his bloodline, while your Zhao family gets to flourish with descendants? This child must not be born." Such words should never be spoken in public. Fortunately, there were only a few people in the hall. I pretended to cover my mouth in shock, while Tanyu said coldly, "The child is innocent." Ren Xiao, however, grew even more venomous. "Get rid of the child and divorce her. Otherwise, I won't let you off easy." This person had been lost in hatred for too long, their mind twisted and obsessive to the extreme. Tanyu closed his eyes and said in a deep voice, "Impossible." I felt a warmth in my heart. It seemed my efforts during this time hadn't been in vain. Since Tanya had never defied Renshao before, she was first incredulous, then shrieked, "Tanya, how dare you disobey me? After all the humiliation and hardship I endured to raise you. How dare you?" So now she's resorting to emotional blackmail. Before she could finish, I suddenly let out a long wail and threw myself at Renjiao's feet. "Madam, you've misunderstood. I share a deep, irreconcilable hatred with that dog of a late emperor. Our goals are the same." Renshao froze. "What nonsense are you talking about?" I unleashed my Oscar-worthy acting skills, sobbing, "Though this humble one was married off by that dog emperor, I've been a victim from start to finish. That dog emperor slaughtered my entire family, then pretended to be my savior, raising me from childhood as a spy. My life has been worse than a dog's. Later, that scoundrel even forged my identity to marry your husband, all just to use me to control him. Fortunately, I saw the light in time. Madam, please see the truth. If I weren't afraid she couldn't handle it, I could even rap for her. Actually, in my current identity, I'm genuinely a nobleman's daughter. But the old emperor was indeed treacherous and had done many such things. So Renshao couldn't immediately tell if it was true or false. She looked at me with skepticism. Are you serious about this? My eyes were red and swollen as I said in a mournful tone, truer than gold. Renshao was temporarily fooled by me. After making a scene for a while, she became exhausted and was helped by her personal maid, Lin Yang, to rest. But I saw the look in her eyes before she left, still fixed intently on my belly. I pretended to be scared and hid in Tanyu's arms. This concubine is afraid of the old madam. Tanyu let out a bitter laugh. This skill of yours, telling lies with your eyes wide open, wasn't developed overnight, was it? What kind of talk is this? I've practiced hard for at least 20 years. At night, Tanyu slept very poorly. He was drenched in sweat, muttering incessantly, his facial features tightly scrunched together, clearly in great distress. After we had our child, he hadn't had nightmares for quite some time. Renjiao's arrival made him feel even more pressured, increasing his will to die by another 10%. After toiling hard for a whole year, it's back to square one in a single day. What's most infuriating is that these are the stats I got by selling myself. I was just about to gently pat Tenyu to comfort him when he suddenly opened his eyes. Are you okay? Are the babies all right? He frantically touched my face, his complexion as pale as a hanged ghost. I took his hand and slowly guided it down to rest on my belly. I'm fine. Feel this. The babies are moving. Now I can feel the baby moving. The little life inside me like a tiny fish darting about. Isn't it fun? It's like they're playing hide and seek. Hearing me tease him, Tenyu finally let out a soft sigh of relief. Leaning against him, I said gently, "The children really like you. Every time you touch my belly, they move so happily." I could rattle off a basketful of such sweet talk without batting an eye. Tenyu gazed at me deeply and finally couldn't hold back, pulling me into a tight embrace. Once his emotions had settled, I took his hand and slowly guided it upward. Don't be nervous. If you're nervous, my heart races too. Here. Feel it if you don't believe me. Tenyu finally couldn't hold back and let out a light chuckle. You're already 4 months pregnant. What's wrong with 4 months? Does 4 months mean you don't pay your dues anymore? This is exactly how modern men who fool around during their wives' pregnancies get spoiled. The doctor said everything's fine. I covered my face and half-jokingly cried, "Husband, are you saying I've gotten fat?" Since it was an ability granted by the system, I didn't gain much weight, mostly in the bust area, creating quite an impressive visual effect. Tanyu stared at me for a long moment before finally interlacing his fingers with mine and kissing me directly, until I was out of breath. He finally let go, panting heavily. Thank you. Then, he lay on his back and gently lifted me with his burning hands, placing me on top of him. What are you doing? Tanyu gently removed my nightgown, showing me with his actions. I've already mastered the sixth stance of romantic encounters. This position is more suited for you now. Actually, my original intention was to exhaust Tanyu, to keep him from overthinking and constantly contemplating death. But unexpectedly, it was my own energy and spirit that ended up being drained. The system, seeing me still in bed long after sunrise, had no choice but to act as an alarm clock to wake me up. Hey, Tanyu's will to die finally dropped by 10% this morning, but you really went all out with your sacrifice. Now Tanyu's will to die is stuck at 50%, neither rising nor falling. Faced with the system's teasing, a faint smile appeared on my face. Well, that's a matter of opinion. Actually, I'm quite enjoying myself. After all, he's now the father of my child, my official partner. But before I could exchange a few more words with the system, the maids came to summon me, saying Rinshao wanted me to go and pay my respects. Me? Is she already acting like a mother-in-law? Should I go or not? Right now, Rinshao and Tanyu's relationship is a bit tense, and my bond with Tanyu isn't particularly strong either. It's better to stay calm and observe for now. With this in mind, I quickly tidied up and headed to Rinzhao's courtyard. Rinzhao sat firmly in the main seat after seeing me. I greeted her respectfully, and only then did she scrutinize me with displeasure for a moment before saying, "You're a smart person. Let's get straight to the point. Get rid of the child, and I can still let you remain as the lady of this household." Her sudden remark left me speechless. Rinzhao was like a lucid madman, outwardly normal, but utterly abnormal at heart. With all my enemies dead, now I just need to live well. Must we really drive Tanyu to the point of having no descendants? He is also your son. I sighed softly and whispered, "Mother, perhaps we should discuss this with my husband." Rinzhao sneered at me. "Don't use Yuer to pressure me. He wouldn't dare disobey my orders." With that, she turned to the maid Lin Yang and commanded, "Go fetch that medicine. Even the abortion medicine is prepared." How efficient. The woman named Lin Yang beside Rinzhao hesitated for a moment and said, "Madam, perhaps we should discuss this with the master first. Otherwise he will blame us. The relationship between you and your son has already." But Rinzhao was determined and said in a firmer tone, "Shut up. Why aren't you going yet? Do you dare to disobey me too?" It is said that this Lin Yang is the only loyal servant who has stayed by Rinzhao's side all these years. Lin Yang sighed, gritted her teeth, and took out a small porcelain bottle from her bosom. I watched as they slowly approached, clutching my stomach and pretending to be scared, saying, "Mother, please don't do this." But in my heart, I was discussing with the system, "Hey, is there any way I can get out of this?" The system said, "Didn't you already exchange all your previous points for spring equinox once? For babies at once? You don't have enough points for the past 2 months. Great. If the child is lost, let everything be destroyed together." Lin Yang and several maids restrained me, pinching my mouth to force the medicine down, and Rinzhao's voice was like a demon's curse. "Drink it, and all will be over. To hell with your all will be over." Suddenly, a hand reached out and knocked over the bottle of medicine. "How dare you!" At the critical moment, Tanyu finally returned. Tanyu kicked the maids aside and anxiously pulled me into his arms. "Are you okay? Were you hurt?" I buried my face in his shoulder and said weakly, "Husband, thank goodness you came. I was so scared." Although Tan Yu was holding me, his body kept trembling. I knew he was terrified, so I could only hold him tightly in return. Ren Xiao, furious beside us, shouted, "You are, for this woman, you'd even disobey me." Tan Yu's eyes were bloodshot as he said, "Mother, are you really going to drive me to death?" The system whispered, "Oh no. His will to die is very unstable, and now it's showing signs of rising again." Sigh. With a mother like this, who could survive? Ren Xiao showed no remorse at all, instead glaring fiercely at Tan Yu. "How dare you look at me like that? Don't you remember how I raised you from childhood? If you don't listen to me, that's disobedience. Then again, you even killed your own father. What outrageous act wouldn't you dare to commit?" She venomously spat out each word. "Do you want to kill your own mother too? Go on. Kill me then." Truly a mother who knows exactly where to hit Tan Yu's weakest spot. The system urgently warned, "This is bad. The value is rising again. It's already reached 70%. I can't take it anymore." Breaking free from Tan Yu's embrace, I stomped my feet and yelled, "Are you out of your mind? My husband did everything because you deceived him. He did nothing wrong. As a son, he fulfilled every demand you made. He even avenged you. If you don't want to live anymore, the river isn't covered. Go jump in yourself. Why torment us?" "Tan Yu!" Ren Xiao flew into a rage, shouting, "You! How dare you?" I rolled up my sleeves. "How dare I? You want to kill my child? Today, I'll fight you to the death." Though the words were harsh, both Tan Yu and Lin Yang were holding us back, so Ren Xiao and I couldn't even touch each other. I also wanted to take advantage of the chaos to turn the situation around. Sure enough, after flailing about for a while, I started complaining of a stomachache. Tan Yu was so frightened he broke out in a sweat and quickly scooped me up in his arms. Before leaving, he said coldly to Ren Xiao, "I have fulfilled my duty as a son. If Madam is still dissatisfied, you may return to Linzi." After returning, I learned that Tan Yu was able to come back so promptly because it was actually Lin Yang who had tipped him off. Tan Yu said, "Lin Yang watched me grow up and isn't as extreme as my mother. I suppose she also understood that if the child in my womb were lost, the relationship between Tan Yu and his mother Ren Xiao could never be fully mended." I was just saying. Though Lin Yang had her hands around my neck earlier, she never actually applied any force. There were several times she could have forced the medicine into my mouth, yet she kept delaying. It would be much better if Ren Xiao had someone as sensible as her by his side. After this big scene, Ren Xiao has quieted down a bit. I might have been genuinely frightened, as my body grew increasingly heavy. Having quadruplets was indeed not as easy as people made it out to be. Tan Yu, fearing something might happen to me, simply requested sick leave from the new emperor and stayed home to recuperate. In reality, he never left my side, taking care of me every step of the way. Over the years, Tan Yu and Zhao Duo had been not only cousins but also comrades in arms. Although Zhao Duo was the adopted son of the late emperor, he was controlled by the old emperor and had to be extremely cautious in daily life, not daring to associate too much with court officials. Compared to him, Tan Yu had actually accumulated more connections and could mobilize more resources over the years, at least on the surface. Now, the two brothers have essentially become the winners. However, if the secret that Tan Yu is the old emperor's biological son were to be revealed, would Zhao Duo, as the adopted son, still be able to remain composed? I think Tan Yu didn't really want to face Zhao Duo in private. I took the opportunity to say to him, "Why not retire and return to your hometown to raise children?" Tanyu had spent his entire life battling in the court without the smoke of war, his mind filled with schemes and calculations, and had never once considered the phrase, retire and return to his hometown. Can you accept me as a commoner? He hesitated. I nodded and said, of course you can. We have 4 children. You could start a private school right at home and save on tuition fees. After all, we're not short on money. It wouldn't be bad to live as a retired couple in a mountain village. Tanyu once lectured the emperor in the palace and was a role model for scholars across the land. Having him teach wouldn't even count as a career change. Hearing me say this, Tanyu's expression gradually softened considerably. He let out a long sigh and said, that's fine too. Once everything is arranged, I'll take you away. Although Tanyu appeared to be completely obedient to me on the surface, his mood remained somewhat low. I knew that the words Rinshao had spoken still deeply wounded his heart. Such wounds are not easily healed. The relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, no matter the era or circumstance, is indeed always a challenge. To comfort Tanyu and make him feel more valued, I started making all sorts of unreasonable demands. My lord, I haven't been sleeping well lately. Play the qin for me. In Tanyu's study, there is an ancient zither, which he occasionally plays. When he does, his demeanor is so ethereal and transcendent, as if floating in immortality. At court, some once described his music as lingering for 3 days. Astonishingly divine. Since I requested prenatal education from him, Tanyu added a zither stand in the bedroom and placed the ancient zither upon it. At night, the melodious sound of the zither carries far into the distance. I didn't understand a single bit of the artistic conception in it. Instead, Rinshao was so furious that she smashed all the porcelain in the room. Not wanting to provoke her further, I changed my request. My lord, you'd better read to me instead. We can't afford to fall behind on the starting line when it comes to the 4 books and 5 classics. No matter where you go, tiger parenting is inevitable. Tanyu smiled without a word, reading the Analects to me every night. But whenever he read serious books, I would start dozing off. Later on, I began asking him to read the 18 Techniques of Romance and Passion. Tanyu initially blushed and disagreed. This will corrupt the children. I confidently retorted, this is a matter of marital duty. Without such things, how could they have come into existence? Tanyu was left speechless. He could only murmur softly, barely audible. Pairs of butterflies flit around the flowered stream, half by the southern hills, half by the western waters. The homeland is filled with tender chaos of wind and moon, while beauties harbor many grievances amidst the misty rain and clouds. I lay on the bed, propping my chin, teasing him. Prime Minister Tan, when you lectured on the 4 books and 5 classics in the palace before, were you like this too? Tanyu, flushed with embarrassment, covered my mouth. The will to die finally diminished a little more. Good. And so, every day I rested at home during my pregnancy, while also finding ways to keep Tanyu busy. The once peaceful life was suddenly shattered. A rumor emerged from nowhere, claiming that the late emperor had a legitimate son still living among the common people. A single stone stirred up 1,000 waves. After all, the old emperor had passed away suddenly without leaving a will. Prince Zhao Duo of Linzi was merely one of the more qualified candidates, and it was only with the support of powerful ministers like Tanyu that he was able to ascend the throne. Yet, many still did not recognize his legitimacy. If the late emperor had a biological son, that heir would undoubtedly be the more rightful successor. For those with ulterior motives, controlling a commoner who knows nothing would be far easier than manipulating Zhao Duo. It is said that several individuals have already come forward, claiming to be the late emperor's lost descendants. The officials from the Ministry of Rights were carefully verifying the authenticity one by one. Zhao Duo was so furious that he was at his wit's end and ordered Tan Yu to investigate thoroughly to find out who had leaked the news. Me? Needless to say, it must have been that lunatic Ren Xiao who spread it. She's trying to destroy everyone. Tan Yu confronted her. What on earth is your reason for this? Ren Xiao laughed heartily and said, Haven't you grown your wings strong? Don't you refuse to listen to me? Let me tell you, these are just rumors for now. But when I personally testify that you're actually the son of that scoundrel Zhao Gui, what do you think Zhao Duo will choose? Will he cherish his brotherly bond with you? Once you sit in that position, you'll become a devil. Either you kill me, or you kill the Wu family. The choice is yours. The system was frantically alerting me. Tan Yu's will to die is rising rapidly. 60%. 70%. Wow. It's up to 80% now. Wu Yi. Think of something quick. Ren Xiao was still laughing maniacally. All you descendants of the Zhao family deserve to be hacked to pieces. Death is too good for you. Ha 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 ha. He's gone mad. Completely mad. Tan Yu realized he couldn't reason with Ren Xiao anymore. So he took me back to the courtyard. He sat in the pavilion all night. The system anxiously said, The value has already risen to 90%. We're doomed. My heart aches with a sharp pain. To be honest, at this moment, what worries me isn't myself. It's that I genuinely feel heartbroken for Tan Yu. He had already envisioned living an ordinary life with me. A simple existence with children and a wife. Yet this damned world forced him to believe that only suicide could solve his problems. I sighed deeply and said to the system, I remember accumulating a bit of credit. I want to do something. One day later, Tan Yu got up early and even prepared breakfast for me. Seeing me eat with such relish, he gently wiped the corner of my mouth and said tenderly, I will arrange for you to go to a very safe place. When the time comes, you will give birth to the child. Take good care of them, and never mention me. I couldn't help but tear up, grabbing his arm and saying, What are you planning to do? You're going to sacrifice yourself to protect us. Then you'll have lost. Won't you? Tan Yu gave a bitter smile. I've actually lost long ago. Patricide and regicide. Disloyal and unfilial. There's no place for me in this world anymore. You still can. Before he could finish, I slapped him hard across the face. Tan Yu, I want you to live well. To live until you're old and gray, surrounded by children and grandchildren. You must teach the children to read and enlighten them. And prepare the daughter red wine for your daughter in advance. Don't even think about slacking off. Tan Yu hugged me tightly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Only if I die can everything come to an end. At that moment, Ren Xiao appeared at the door and said coldly, Have you made up your mind? I looked at Ren Xiao and said, What's the hurry? Not everyone has arrived yet. Ren Xiao didn't understand my meaning and frowned, saying, Yuer's identity is a secret. To protect yourself. Would you really sacrifice him? If you know it's a secret, why keep blabbing about it every day? I couldn't be bothered to talk to this crazy woman. Tan Yu asked me, Who did you invite? As they were speaking, someone came to report from outside the door. His Majesty and Her Majesty the Empress Dowager have arrived. The Empress Dowager was the mother of the Prince of Linzi, the former princess consort of Linzi, and also Ren Xiao's elder sister. Ren Xiao said, What's the point of summoning the Empress Dowager here? I sneered at her. You'll find out soon enough whether it's interesting or not. The Empress Dowager and Zhao Duo arrived in simple attire. She glanced at me, then at Tan Yu and Zhao Duo, before finally looking at Ren Xiao with disappointment. Sister, there's something I've kept from you for 24 years. Now, it seems I can no longer hide it, Ren Xiao said. What exactly are you up to with all this ghostly charade? I replied, just listen carefully. The Empress Dowager sighed and said, over 20 years ago, the Tan family met with disaster. I thought you had died too and grieved for a long time. Later, when you came to me pregnant, I was truly overjoyed. She paused and said, at that time, I thought I must protect you, so that the rest of your life could be stable and peaceful. But, when you finally gave birth to the child, the baby had no breath. Ren Xiao's face turned pale as he sneered. Do you think I would believe that? The Empress Dowager said, why would I lie to you? I just don't want you to keep deceiving yourself. Back then, you lost too much blood and were unconscious for 3 days and nights. The midwife brought out the child, but there wasn't even a cry. I thought this child was the last bit of the Tan family's bloodline. If it were cut off, you probably wouldn't have been able to go on living. Tan Yu and Zhao Duo froze upon hearing these words. None of them had imagined that such secrets existed 20 years ago. The Empress Dowager continued, at that time, the Prince of Linzi happened to have a concubine who gave birth to a child. She was too weak and passed away within a few days. I took it upon myself to switch that child with you. Ren Xiao gasped heavily, taking a few steps back. How is this possible? You're lying to me. The Empress Dowager let out a long sigh. Sister, it's true. Tan Yu stared at me blankly. I'm not the late Emperor's son. Then who am I? Am I the son of the Prince of Linzi? The Empress Dowager shook her head, enunciating each word clearly. You are not the Prince of Linzi's child. Because that child back then was a girl. This statement stunned everyone. Ren Xiao's eyes grew even more bewildered. A daughter? How is that possible? I gave birth to a son. The Empress Dowager rubbed her temples, seemingly at a loss for where to begin. She had no choice but to explain slowly. It was indeed a girl. At the time, I thought having a daughter by my side would be some comfort. Ren Xiao loudly questioned. Then where did Au come from? Zhao Duo was also confused and interjected. I don't understand. Mother, if Au is father's son, then who am I? Am I your child? Or, at this moment, it was my turn to step in. I raised my voice and said, Lin Yang, since things have come to this, you should speak up. During this time, Tan Yu treated me very well, allowing me to accumulate some points. But the major items couldn't be used, so I could only peek into the hearts of 3 characters. After hesitating for a long time, I chose the Empress Dowager, Ren Xiao, and Lin Yang. After all, matters like whose child it is, only women would know best, especially for Lin Yang. Back then, apart from pity, I could also detect a hint of guilt in her attitude towards Tan Yu. I shouted at Lin Yang, now, do you still want to hide it? Telling the truth would be better for everyone. Lin Yang had been keeping her head down all along, but seeing that she could no longer conceal the matter, she finally raised her head as if resigned to her fate. She didn't look at us but instead gazed at Ren Xiao, suddenly kneeling down with a thud. Miss, it was me. I was the one who swapped your daughter for a son. But I truly didn't know that child belonged to the Prince of Linzi's household. She sobbed. Back then, you were single-mindedly set on revenge, insisting you had to bear a son to avenge your grievances. I feared you wouldn't survive without this hope, so I took it upon myself to fetch a fatherless and motherless boy from the orphanage. Ren Xiao's pupils dilated in disbelief. In other words, the Princess of Linzi had swapped the child first, and then Lin Yang had swapped it again. Everyone was stunned. In truth, Each of them only knew a part of the truth, and it wasn't until I pieced it all together that I understood the whole story. I held Tanyu's hand and whispered softly, "Actually, you have absolutely nothing to do with all this nonsense." Tanyu looked at me in confusion, stammering, I. The Empress Dowager said, "That is indeed the case." Rinshao shouted, "No, it can't be. I gave birth to Yuer. He is my son. Don't you dare deceive me." I sneered. "Fortunately, he is not." The Empress Dowager pleaded earnestly with Rinshao. "Sister, wake up. Yuer is truly not your son. Duoer is." Zhao Duo took a few steps back. "Mother." At this point, the Empress Dowager poured out everything. "Duoer. Back then when I switched you, you were barely breathing."
No matter how much Rinshao cried and made a scene, it was useless, for she had clearly lost her sanity. Was the Empress Dowager genuinely caring for her sister, or did she take the initiative to bring her into the palace? Before leaving, she told Tanyu not to worry, assuring him that she would take good care of her sister. After all, there was still Zhao Duo, her own son. Oh my! I almost want to throw flowers in celebration. The troublemaker is finally leaving. Zhao Duo also hugged Tanyu, with everything left unsaid between them. After going through all this, Tanyu and I have finally weathered the storm and seen clear skies. To fulfill his promise to me, Tanyu resigned from his official position outright, distancing himself from the place of trouble. But Zhao Duo couldn't bear to leave us as commoners, so he had Tanyu inherit the title of Prince of Linzi. He also sent me a letter, saying this was his way of indirectly returning everything to me. Tanyu and I gladly accepted. And so, the couple returned home together. Shortly after returning to Linzi, I went into labor. The system watched me sweating and shouting, then said, "Do you want to cash in your reward to help you deliver smoothly?" I shook my head. No way. I have other plans for that reward. Just 4 kids. Piece of cake. The system covered its face and said, "Do you really need to push yourself this hard? You've done so well this time that you've become a model for rewards from above. No one will call you a useless strategist anymore." I hummed and said, "This is all I deserve. When the time comes to leave this world, I hope Tanyu can go with me. Having walked alone in the darkness for so long, I hope to have him by my side from now on. This is my new wish." Later, I gave birth to 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. The Linzi prince's residence suddenly became bustling and lively, with the cries of children echoing one after another. After I gave birth, Tanyu held my hand and said, In the past, I didn't know where all the hardships came from or why they fell upon me. Now I understand. It was because of enduring so much that I was able to meet you." I weakly pinched his cheek and said, "Bitter herb flower, you can change your name now. From now on, you'll be my little sweetie." Tanyu buried his face in my hand and murmured, "I am yours. Everything about me is yours." I haven't mastered all the romantic gestures yet, but I'll keep trying. I chuckled softly, gazing at his face, and enunciated each word clearly. "I love you." Though I don't know when it began, I can feel the fiery love burning in my heart. Tanyu raised his head. "Love." He paused, then said, "I love you too. I love you. Let go of hatred. Let go of worries. From now on, move towards a new and beautiful life." Extra. Tanyu's new life was essentially the daily routine of a stay-at-home dad. The 2 of us couldn't possibly take care of 4 children alone, so the Wang residents hired many wet nurses and nannies to look after the kids. The first 2 years with the children were relatively manageable. They were just little babies who only needed to be fed and would then sleep and poop. Everything was peaceful and serene. But when children reach the age of 3 or 4, they start to display tremendous destructive energy. At this point, someone actually needs to step forward and discipline them. This is why the ancients emphasized holding grandchildren but not sons. Fathers were typically absolute authority figures, and children feared them. Back then, I was abducted and humiliated by this scoundrel, which is how you came to be. Because his upbringing was so tumultuous, Renshao had always either beaten or scolded him since childhood, never holding or showing affection to him. So Tenyu cherished his own children dearly. This led to the 4 children taking advantage of their father's kindness, treating him like a pushover. I originally intended to slack off, but I realized if I didn't step in, Tenyu would spoil the children rotten. This is simply unacceptable. A childhood without the ruler and reprimands is not a complete one. Fortunately, when I was disciplining the child fiercely, Tenyu dared not interfere, only secretly wiping tears behind my back. Me? What kind of world is this? By nightfall, those 18 romantic techniques had long been mastered to perfection, refined to the utmost. Tenyu worked diligently until midnight, attending to my comfort with great care, before cautiously saying, "Ai, may I offer a suggestion?" I was dead tired and mumbled drowsily, "What is it?" Tenyu began to ramble. "It's one thing to discipline the eldest and second sons. Boys can handle it better. But the third and fourth are daughters. You can't keep hitting them. You need to be patient and reason with them properly." Me? Tenyu. Also, the prince's mansion is too quiet. Should we have a few more children? Quiet. It seems the Prime Minister hasn't read proper books in a long time and has become quite uncultured. Shut up. Lights out. Sleep. Oh. After lying down, I ran my fingers through his smooth hair, entwining it with mine. A married couple ties their hair together, symbolizing eternal unity of hearts. That seems to be the truth of it. At the thought of this, I sat up again. Aren't we supposed to sleep? Why is the light still on? You said you wanted to have a baby. Just once isn't enough. Which position should we try next? Improvise.